wishy on that, but if something's right or wrong,
We're ready when you're ready.
well, the topics we want to control. Good evening, it's, time for our, June meeting. We will have a roll call, please.
Long,
Here.
Kuby, Fair, here, Maxley, here, McClanahan, here, Vaughn, Miller, Chairman Lesson.
Here. Thank you. Okay, the zoning board conducts a public hearing to take sworn or affirmed testimony from all interested parties, both supporters and objectors, for each case that appears before this board tonight. This is the only opportunity you will have to present testimony in opposition or support of the petitions. Only those interested parties that have submitted notice 24 hours prior to tonight's meeting are allowed to cross-examine the petitioner. This is an opportunity to only question the petitioner, not to make statements or offer personal testimony. Upon final questioning, the interested parties may then make their closing statements. Others appearing before the board tonight and wishing to speak must fill out a form located on a table in the back of the room and turn it in to either Jackie or Melissa, and you are allowed to make statements only. You cannot question the petitioner. Groups that oppose a petitioner's request are asked to appoint a spokesperson to speak for the group in order to avoid repetitious testimony and save time. Repetitious and off-the-subject testimony may be ruled out of order. Please refrain from repeating and be as factual as possible. Please know that this hearing is being video recorded, and that recording will be available on the county website at some point in the future. Now, following the testimonial portion of the public hearing, the zoning board will enter into deliberations where they make a finding of fact based upon a variety of different considerations. The board is not bound by strict rules of evidence, and it may exclude irrelevant, immaterial, incompetent, or repetitious testimony. But the zoning board does consider the following when we deliberate on all cases. 1, the county zoning ordinances. 2, the county comprehensive plan. 3, the county land use plan. 4, local municipalities comprehensive plans. 5, the public benefit. And 6, the best interest of the county. Now, for Class B variances and special use requests, the zoning board has final authority on those cases unless there is a lack of 4 concurring votes. For Class A variances, special use, rezoning, and code amendments, the zoning board makes a recommendation to the county board, and the county board meets the 4th Wednesday of the month. For Class A variances, special use, rezoning, and code amendments, the land use committee will also review those cases and make a recommendation to the county board. And the land use meets the 2nd Tuesday of every month. For Class A variances, special use, rezoning, and code amendments, the county board has final authority on those cases. Okay, introductions tonight. I'm Chairman Dwayne Lesson. Jackie is our Community Development Administrator. Matt is our Assistant State's Attorney. Adam is our Tri-County Planner. And Melissa is our Deputy Administrator. In the first row here are the zoning board members, and in the second row are the land use committee members. Does anybody have any questions before we start? Okay, now is the time for public comment on any matters that are not listed on tonight's agenda. Public comment on any matters not listed on tonight's agenda. Okay, seeing none, board members, you were either mailed or emailed a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Baum?
I'll second.
McClanahan seconds. Are there any items to be noted or corrected? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. All opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Okay, our first case tonight is 25-20-S, Elmer Tom Moore, requesting a special use to allow the construction of an accessory structure prior to the principal dwelling up to 1,200 square feet utilized for personal storage in an R1 low-density residential district. This is a Class B case, so the zoning board has final authority. Is Elmer Tom Moore here? Okay, why don't you come up here?
I think this is on.
Yep. Name and address for the record.
Elmer Tom Moore, address 1915 American Street, Beacon, Illinois.
And do you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the true self of God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, reports for tonight. Health Department had no comment, Soil and Water and Farm Bureau had no comment. Tazewell County Highway Department and the Emergency Management Agency of Tazewell County had no comment. Nick McQuett from the City of Pekin and Ron Hawkins Jr., the Cincinnati Township Road Commissioner, had no comment. And so this is a special use, so land use, we have some information from you.
Thank you, Chairman. So at a high level, staff do not have any concerns with zoning standards in terms of setbacks or size of the proposed structure. Comprehensive plan does not make any mention or have any goals or objectives that this project would be in conflict with. In terms of character of the area, there are countless other properties in the neighborhood that have accessory structures which are viewable from the street, many of which store vehicles as what is proposed with this case. So the proposal is not out of character with the neighborhood. So with that, staff does recommend approval of this application.
Okay, thank you. Melissa, do we have some video?
This is case number 25-20-S, petition by Tom Moore for a special use. From Exhibit A, this direction is east. Directly in front of us, the proposed location for the new accessory structure. This would be the nearest residence. To the north, this direction north and the intersection of American and Insel. This direction west. This direction is south down American. And back to the place beginning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Moore, why don't you explain your request tonight?
Well, basically, I've got a travel trailer that I want to park in there, and I need something to park it under, instead of having it out in the weather, during the winter time and stuff. Or in the summertime, it probably won't be parked there very often. But that's the purpose of having it. And this will not be a permanent structure. It will not be concrete in it. It will not have no, it'll be anchored as one of these carports that you can buy readily portable, and it'll be placed on the property with all the setbacks, whatever you want. For that, that's basically, I have nowhere else to go other than rent it somewhere, and I got a lot, that's the reason I bought it. The lot lot to start off with. The lot was in terrible shape when I first got there. It was weeds real high and stuff, and I got that all mowed up and kinda got it cleaned up. So that's my purpose. I want my camper storage.
Okay, travel trailer, is it one that you pull behind a pickup, or is it,
Yeah.
got its own motor?
It is a travel trailer pulled by a pickup.
Okay,
It's,
and then, you're gonna enter off of that street we saw in the video?
could be entered from either one on Issel or
So the lot
Yeah.
goes all the way through?
it's all the way to the alley. There's an alley. I will
Well,
not,
an alley in the
I
middle.
will not come in the alley.
Okay, and, I did you guys see, was there any ditches there?
No,
So there are no culverts needed,
no. There's
Okay.
no culverts.
but you're gonna make some kinda, I'm assuming a rock entrance or something?
Yes, I did already put some rock in there, part of my, two other little trailers.
Okay,
I had a car trailer and a utility trailer, hauled a motorcycle, or a mower.
okay. And it says you do not reside adjacent, but you live on the same block. How far away are you from this property?
Well, I can see it from our front yard.
Okay, so just 2 or 3 houses away?
Yeah, let's see, it'd be 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Okay. And, in talking with the office, that, should you, not need the structure, meaning you sell the camper or something, or you would sell the property, you're gonna remove the, structure?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, questions?
So this will be anchored to the ground, so the wind doesn't blow it away?
Yes.
Because I've seen too
Yes.
many of them here.
I think it said it was 90 mile an hour winds,
Okay,
anchors and stuff, yeah.
and three-sided, so all the way down on both sides, and the back's enclosed?
Yes.
Okay.
I had one of these when I was living in Oklahoma. You know, the weather down there is not really that nice. Never rode it away, so I was happy with that.
Any other questions? Land use? Okay, so to follow up on my last one, if we put a condition that should you no longer need the structure because you sold your camper, or you sold the lot, the structure would be removed,
Can be, yes,
okay?
can be, or will be, depending on the buyer.
If
He
the
wants to buy
buyer
it,
wants to keep it,
then-
and so if it's approved as a special use and he sells it and the buyer wants to keep the building, it's still, the special use is still in force.
Yeah, if they continue to utilize it.
Okay, so your request is only for personal storage. So should that happen, the new buyer can only use it for personal storage. That,
Yeah,
I mean, you need to be upfront with the new person.
right, that would be in the.
Agreement, yes.
Agreement, yes,
Right.
yes, I would,
Okay.
yes, I would put that in there.
Okay, other questions, thoughts? King, do you have any closing comments?
Nothing, I think everything went well, everybody, information I got in the mail and stuff, and,
Okay.
other than that, request for my money back.
Oh, well, I have nothing to do with that. You said it won't be there in the summer very much, so you travel quite a bit.
Well, I'm wanting to.
Okay, there you go. All right, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, all of his setbacks and everything were okay, where he was planning on placing. Okay, our next case is 21S. Chris and Mallory Biegler, requesting a special use to allow the construction of a personal recreational building up to 2,500 square feet in an A1 ag district. This is a Class B case, so zoning board has final authority. Chris Biegler. Yes, come on up. Name and address for the record.
You want the address of the property or my residence?
Your residence.
Okay, it's Christopher Biegler, that's 226 Pocono Avenue, Morton, Illinois.
And you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, so reports are, health department, septic permit may or will be required. Tazewell County Soil and Water and Tazewell County Farm Bureau had no comment. Tazewell County Highway Department and Tazewell County Emergency Management Agency had no comment. And Little Mackinac Township Road, Commissioner had no comment. And so we've got some information from land use.
Okay, so, this request is for a personal recreation building in which the purpose will be to, place property maintenance equipment and recreational items. So there's no, current dwelling on the property. In terms of zoning and comprehensive plan performance, staff have no concerns. The property is zoned A1, but the topography, the orientation of the lot as well as the topography at the rear of the lot doesn't really suit itself for agricultural utilization, as well as the fact that adjacent properties, which are also in the A1 zoning district, are used for residential development. The use is low intensity in nature, where there should not be a high volume of vehicle traffic to the property, no concerns with noise or smell, or concerns with the health, safety, or welfare of the area. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the application.
Okay, Melissa, some video.
Yes.
This is part one of case 2521S, petition by Chris and Mallory Biegler for a special use. From Exhibit A, this direction is south, and this is the entrance to the property off of Kentuckiana Road. This direction is east, north, west,
There's a second part.
Okay,
This is part two of case 2521S. Again, from Exhibit A, this direction is south. This would be the proposed location of the new recreational building. And this direction is east in the distance, nearest residence to the east. This direction north, looking down the lane, leading off of Kentuckiana Road. This direction west, nearest residence to the west. And back to the place of beginning.
okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Biegler, why don't you explain your request?
We purchased the property, 5 years ago, my wife and I. And, normally we use that property for recreation, hunting, etc. I got to the point where we were starting to develop out there a little bit to improve the property. I needed a place to store stuff. As you can see, I have some trailers and stuff like that on the property. Pardon my voice, by the way. And I don't wanna I have other neighbors and stuff out there, so I wanna be able to store the stuff that's out there, be able to put tractors and stuff like that out there so I can maintain the property and further develop the property, so I need a building to do something.
Okay, and so it's, all personal items you want to store?
Yes, tractors, trailers,
You're not gonna rent it to anybody?
no, this is gonna be a family property, yes.
Okay, and, Okay, yeah, maintain and store equipment and recreational items. And so is there going to be water and bathrooms in there?
Future, yes.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Yeah, pending financial, right now I need it for storage, and then eventually in the future, so we can have further development, we're gonna put bathroom, septic and such. We did plan on building a home in that prior to doing this, but that plan fell through, so I've already had a perk test and that done, so I do plan on following through with that again in the future.
And so, if I understood you right, at some point in the future, you hope to build a home on this property?
No, well, that would be in the far future.
Okay,
Currently, yes, as I have a young one right now, we currently live in Morton.
okay,
As she gets older and as things develop, yes, that would be 20 plus years in the future.
okay, board members, questions?
How many acres is that?
It's a little less than 8, it's like 7.35 or 7.5, something like that.
And mostly wooded, it looks like?
It is mostly wooded, I've cleared a small area, which you saw in the video.
Yeah, I see you live in the middle, not quite the middle, close to that, your house, that's where your clearing is at?
That clearing, yes, is next to that adjacent building. Yeah, that is the area, that's where the proposed building is gonna be placed.
Towards the middle, towards the either side of it?
If you were to see on that building there, you'll see, it looks like a small, I guess that's a fire pit. That's what that is, or a fire area, there's a little like circle on that little clearing area.
Yeah,
That would be the actual side of the building facing, the orientation would be the same orientation as the other buildings in the adjacent area there.
okay, so that would be running, what is that?
I guess that's-
North and south, the building you're running, or?
I believe that's actually, yeah, well, no, it'd be east and west.
East and- okay. So this would be this way.
Yeah, because Kentucky and I believe runs, you know,
Okay, I'm looking at exhibit A, your hand drawn. Is your driveway, on one edge or the other of your property?
it
or
goes right down the
along
middle as you're coming in there.
Okay,
Yeah, and it's gonna be an improved driveway, because currently right now it is just dirt.
right, we just saw 2 tire
That is
pads.
literally all it is, so in order to improve it, I'm gonna have to have a driveway put in, and the culvert that's currently down there will have to be improved.
Okay, and so then where you squared it off.
There's a gravel drive in front of the building, so the building is the one, the part to the right now.
Okay, and, what type of structure, a Morton building type?
Yes, very similar, Randall Buildings is the same company.
Yes.
Correct.
And, yeah, you're far enough from the floodplain.
Yeah, because
That's the
there,
blue line.
it's on top of the hill, if you see the blue line there, you go down. And that does flood, it did flood about 4 or 5 years ago, so.
Okay, board members, questions? Land use? And so is there a well on this property now?
There is no,
Okay.
there is no utilities at all, it is completely vacant land.
Okay,
As of
so
now.
when that time does come, then you gotta get the health department involved.
Understood,
For
yes.
the well and the septic and that.
Correct.
And so you're not planning on electricity?
I do plan on electricity, as soon as we get the building up, yes.
Okay, it'll come in off of Kentuckiana?
It comes in from the adjacent property, there's a transformer.
Okay,
Literally, if you're looking at the, there's a little white trailer, and right on the edge of the property where the white trailer is, there's a transformer right there.
a little box there.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's real small, it's in the red line there.
Okay,
Behind that little white trailer, there's a transformer on the adjacent property, and that's where you'll connect into the utility, and it'll run to the building.
okay,
And I've already contacted the local electric company about access, and this should be an issue.
yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, closing comments? It's 40 by 60 approximately.
Yes, sir, about 25 bucks square feet.
Okay. Closing comments?
Other than, like I said, just to be using it for recreational and storage of personal vehicles, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're excused. Okay, 25-22-S, Savannah Gottschall, requesting a special use to allow the operation of Sunflower Stables Farmhouse LLC, a public stable, to include boarding as well as offering riding lessons from an existing accessory structure in an A1 Ag district. This is Class B case, so the zoning board has final authority, and I'm assuming you're Savannah?
Yes.
Okay, name and address for the record,
Savannah Gottschall, 33353 Lowry Road, Macomb.
and you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, state plumbing code, this is from the health department, requires adequate restrooms for customer use. Soil and Water and Farm Bureau had no comment. Tazewell County Highway Department and the Emergency Management Agency had no comment. Phil Rankin had, Mackinac Township Road Commissioner had no comment. And so this is a special use, so land use information.
All right, so again, this application is for the boarding of horses as well as offering riding lessons at the subject property. There's no proposed new structures in the application, so from the zoning perspectives, there is no concern from staff's end. The comprehensive plan doesn't really speak on economic opportunities such as this, so there's no conflicts with the comprehensive plan there. Staff does see this use as pretty low intensity in terms of vehicular traffic coming and going, so doesn't have a whole lot of concern in terms of the increased traffic in the area. Horse riding lessons and boarding of horses, staff does not see as a use that would have any concerns regarding the health, safety, or welfare in the area as well. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the application.
Okay, thank you. Melissa?
This is part one of case 25-22-S, petition by Savannah Gottschall for a special use. From Exhibit A, this direction is west, directly in front of us, the existing dwelling, a garage, and the two barns. This direction is north, down Lowry Road. This direction is east. The intersection of Lowry and Boston School Road, this direction south. There's a part two.
Okay.
This is part two of case 25-22-S. Again, from Exhibit A, this direction is north, directly in front of us, barn 1, and in the distance, barn 2. In the distance would be the nearest residence to the property. Existing pasture area, this direction west. This direction south. Again, east. Existing dwelling and a garage. And back to the place of beginning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, why don't you explain to us what your request is tonight?
To board horses for the public and, offer riding lessons.
Okay. I've got a thing here somewhere, it said, riding lessons,
Yeah.
It would be a
mostly-
minimal number of people at any one time, I'm assuming you
Yeah.
can do one or two at a time, or how does that work?
Like boarding
The
for
riding
lessons,
lessons.
one at a time, yeah.
Okay, and so, the health department said, assuming that because you have to provide restroom to your clients, that they would be able to use the bathroom in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. And the staff also indicated, we don't have any numbers on what's the, ag department's recommendations for the number of horses you can board for the acres that ag. Do you have any idea of how
We
many?
have 8 stalls, so that would be the max,
Okay, 8 stalls,
one per horse.
okay. And then you would use that pasture there for free time and turnout time and.
Right.
And so when you board these horses, then can the people that own them, show up any time of the day?
Yeah, yeah, they do 9 to 5 usually.
Oh, okay, so it's not like, 9:30, 10 at night, they're out there trying to,
Ride their horse, probably not in the dark.
well, people do weird things. But most of them come between 9 and 5 then,
Yes.
okay. Questions, board members?
So 8 stalls, do you have horses yourself? And so how many will you be boarding then, other than your own? Potentially,
Up to 8 would be not my
Okay.
own.
okay.
So a total, if I didn't have any, I guess of my own.
Okay, so how many do you have?
We have 6 right now,
Okay,
but
and then you've got 8 extra stalls that could. be-
no, 6 is counting 8.
Okay, so your horses take up 6 stalls, you'd have 2 stalls available to rent
Yeah.
out.
But if I didn't have any,
Then
Then
8 would be the maximum.
yeah,
Okay. Yes, I'm not a horse person, but my understanding is horses come and go between people. You find one you don't like, and somebody else likes it, it goes, and then
Yeah.
maybe later
well,
on,
they live a long time,
you
like
find
30
one you
years.
like and so. Okay, other questions?
So is there 2 houses on the property, or was that one a garage, or like an apartment above it or something?
Yeah, there's a living, apartment above the garage.
Okay, so instead of letting people in your homes for.
There is a bathroom up there too, yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes you wouldn't want to let people in your house, to do that, so.
Yeah,
There's other places that it would let you down.
Land use? Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple questions for you, sorry, it was difficult. Just a quick search, Jackie, I saw codes in East Peoria and Washington, 1 horse per acre. Is that not county code or state code?
So in our residential district, we're limited to 1 animal unit per acre, so 1 horse per acre. The information that we have is, guidance from Department of Agriculture, but it's related to livestock feeding operations, so we really don't have a limit in agricultural districts. In residential, we limit it to 1 animal unit per acre because it's not typical in residential districts. Department of Agriculture doesn't license boarding facilities, so there really isn't any definitive guidance there.
Got it. My biggest concern, we've had horses for 30 years and we live out by you guys. When you see a property that has a ton of horses on a small amount of acres, winter comes around, they're eating everything down to the dirt. So I'm
a
assuming.
lot of ours are seniors, actually, so they, only eat grain.
Okay,
They don't have any grass.
you grain feed them and you bring in hay and everything?
Yep.
Okay, and then the neighbor, is that, are they related to you or the person that has the adjacent property?
No,
Okay, but they're okay with everything on
Yeah.
this?
yeah, we talked to them.
Okay, that's all I got.
Russ?
Does the person have an appointment with their own horse? In other words, they can't just come anytime, they've gotta come when you're expecting them to come, right?
Not
Because-
necessarily, I don't have to be there.
Well, oh, you don't have to,
If there were
Help
lessons,
them?
yeah, but if they're just boarding their horse and it's theirs and they know how to ride and they were gonna go ride,
I see,
they can come whenever they want during the day.
I see. So maybe the first time, it would help if they would
Yeah.
talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm the adjacent landowner to the south, and I have no objection.
Okay. It's on the record. Okay, Eric Gentry? Yes, over here to a microphone, that first chair.
Related to her property owner, so he doesn't have anything to add.
Okay,
Yeah, I put my name in there just in case there was a question she wasn't able to answer.
oh,
I need to answer for her.
are you satisfied with her answer so far? Okay. If there's one she can't, then we'll have to swear you in and you can chime in then, so. Okay, other questions for, Savannah? Okay, so based on what you've told us, we would probably put a condition on it of 8 horses max, because that's what you've indicated at this point. And Jackie would be able to tell you that in the future, if you built a bigger barn and you could do 10 or 12 horses, what did they do? Have to come back for a new special use?
If you condition it to 8, yes.
Okay, and so are you okay with 8?
Yeah.
Okay, and, okay, so one thing, if you're in an ag district though, so you're quite a bit different. How do you handle your manure?
I collect it and then I have somebody, comes and picks it up to compost.
Oh, okay, and so, cause like I said, when, a lot of times we have people in R1 or R2 and then they get a big dumpster or something, and so in an ag area, yes, get a manure spreader and have somebody utilize it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, last chance for questions.
So I have a question.
Yep.
So, in the future, do you feel like you want to add horses? Or is that something? you
I
want
think we
to
would
see?
move.
Get a big place.
Well, cause because if you want, if we're gonna put a condition on it, you know, I don't know if, you know, that would be the right thing to do, if she was gonna say, yeah, well, at some point, I wanna have more horses, so, just to have to, her to have to go through this again, but if she was gonna have to, if you're gonna move it.
Yeah, I think 8's good. That'd be fine.
Yeah, you know, what is it, about 3.5 acres? And as she indicated, most of the horses are elderly, and so, you know, they're just out for exercise. And, because, yeah, you put 8 horses in that little pasture, and it'll be just like you said, nothing but dirt. And so, okay. Closing comments? Okay, thank you, you're excused. Oh, no, this is yours. She's shy. Okay, the next case is 2523S, Alexander Smith, requesting a special use to allow the operation of a non-residential planned unit development, allowing the construction of a new principal structure proposed for a commercial boarding kennel with other animal services offered, utilizing 2 existing commercial structures on the property to be rented for various permitted commercial uses, and an area designated for outdoor storage in a C2 general business district. This is a Class B case, and zoning board has final authority, so You're Alexander?
Yes.
Okay, name and address for the record.
Alexander Smith, 22217 Timber Lane, Morton.
And you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, health department indicates a septic permit would be required. Tazewell County Soil and Water and Farm Bureau both had no comment. Tazewell County Highway Department had, and Emergency Management Agency had no comment. Zach Davis from the Village of Morton had no objection, and Mike Harris from IDOT had no objection. And so land use, you have some information for us?
Yes, so, as we discussed at last month's meeting, a non-residential planning development application is for applications that, would like to have multiple non-residential uses on the same property. So in this case, there are two other, structures on the site which have been utilized for different commercial uses in the past, and this is for a different, commercial use, which will be for boarding kennel. Boarding kennels also, if it was just a standalone use here, it would also be a special use in this C2 zoning district. In terms of zoning, the new structure that is proposed looks to meet all dimensional standards in the zoning district. In terms of comprehensive plan, staff found no goals or objectives that the proposed use was in conflict with. The only real main issue that staff identified was the potential for noise, just with dogs being boarded here in a residential neighborhood 300 feet away to the west. Staff did speak with the applicant and got some information that dogs would be let out throughout the day and at a maximum of 15 minutes at a time, with last let out being at 8 p.m. So with dogs being let out primarily during the daytime and at short periods of time, those concerns about noise were remediated by that information from the applicant. It looks like there would be about 32 regular kennels, 10 suites, and 6 staffable units for cats in the building. And so otherwise, staff didn't have any concerns with the anticipated traffic volume. Again, this use is not going to be seeing vehicle traffic coming in and out at very high volumes, and in terms of there's not many undesirable characteristics with commercial boarding kennels besides the potential for noise. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the application.
Okay, thank you. Melissa?
This is case number 2523F, petition by Alexander Smith for special use. From Exhibit A, this direction south, directly in front of us, the compound area for outdoor storage, which will also be the location just beyond the trees of the new commercial building. This is the existing building for indoor storage. Directly in front of us, this small office building. This direction west down Edgewater Drive. This direction north. This direction east down Edgewater. And back to the west.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Smith, why don't you explain your request tonight?
So, like you stated, it's gonna be a commercial pet boarding kennel, 48 by 80, Morton type building. Potentially done by Wagenbach, but still in negotiations. And like he said, it's gonna have 32 regular kennels, and then there will be 10 suites. So this is designed to be more of a luxury pet kennel. And we plan to follow all the guidelines with the health department and zoning, obviously.
Okay, and so what you just described would be in the new building?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, and what's the plans for the building that's already there?
So the building that's already there, I own a lawn care business, and I have one employee, and he goes in and out basically one time to get the mowing truck and one time to leave. So we're just utilizing the big part for that, and then I have a tenant on the end, he has approximately like 26 by 60, and he is a contractor that's mainly using it for storage right now.
Tools and things like
Correct.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the front building, I just had a real estate agent move out of, and now I have, like a dog trainer that wants to go in there, which would kinda go hand in hand with this whole thing.
Okay. Was that a feed store at one time?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking there was some kind of feed store here. Okay. So kinda like the horse thing, if somebody boards their animal there, can they come and go, or you have business hours, or how does it work?
So we'll have business hours from like 6:30 AM until, 6:30 PM.
Okay,
The 6:30 would just be for like dropping off the dogs. None of them will be out until closer to 8 o'clock in the morning. And then pick up at 6:30 and by appointment otherwise. So no one would have access besides employees to the building.
okay, and so if somebody was going away for a weekend, they could drop it off Friday morning at 6:30
Yep.
and pick it up Sunday evening at 6:30.
Yeah, Sunday would probably just have like a one-time
Open,
yeah, and, well, obviously
or
it's
they would
staff.
have to come Monday morning at 6:30 to get
Correct.
it back.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, and then Saturday would just be like a half a day, like nothing afternoon.
okay, so, we saw that it was a nice fence in the front. Is there any fence around the back of the property?
So the entire property is fenced in, and I will keep that up, and I'll just have to incorporate it into the new building, cause I'm gonna take the front section out. And I'd like the buildings to be side by side, just so it looks good, and so I'll take out the one section of fence and then alter it however I have to.
Okay, and so then these run kennels will be at the back of the new
Yep,
building?
so they'll be in the back end, like the south end of the building.
Okay.
And like I said, I mean, they'll.
So that means the dogs have to get through 2 fences before they get out?
Pretty much, yeah.
They gotta get through the kennel fence and then the boundary
Correct.
fence, that's all,
Yep.
okay. Questions, board members? Yep, Todd?
I'm sorry, I missed the number of runs that you're gonna have.
So there's gonna be 32 regular kennels and then 10 suites that are like built out rooms.
Okay. So.
42, and then
dogs,
a
give or take.
cat room with maybe like 6 units, cause
Okay.
not as many people board cats.
So you're right next to a residential area.
Uh-huh.
Dogs are out during the day,
So they're out, they get let out 3 times a day. So
okay,
there's gonna be a morning let out, lunchtime let out, and then an evening let out. And then we have an indoor play arena that most of the playtime will be inside.
so they get some exercise.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. The only thing I'm worried about is dogs being outside for a period of time, you get one barking, now you got 8 or 9 barking, and
Yeah.
you got neighbors that are.
They'll be out long enough to use the bathroom and, let us clean the kennel out.
Okay, all right. And is there, I guess this is for Jackie, do we have regulations that say how many kennels of what size they have to be, or does the state have that?
We do not have those regulations. I would look to you for the answer as far as what the state requires of you.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're within the guidelines, but I don't know what the exact amount is. I'm pretty sure I'm under the amount.
I would hope that your office just does a quick check to make sure they are meeting the standards before permits are issued.
So we'll do that before the permits are issued, yes.
Okay, that leads to another question, are kennels licensed by the state?
Yes,
So you have to have a permit from the state as well?
we will, yes.
Okay,
And I can't really do much of that until the establishment's up, because they have to come and inspect it and everything. So,
Okay, so then this play area is, that you talked about, is in the new building?
Correct, like right when you walk into, it'll be an indoor play arena to the left. And then something I forgot to add is we'll have a groomer in there, so,
They can leave their dog for a weekend, and get a new
Yeah.
haircut too.
exactly.
Is this gonna be like a doggy daycare as well? So like,
yeah, we'll have-
people that go
yeah.
work, drop their dog off?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And so explain the doggy daycare to me.
Never been a doggy daycare.
I'm not a dog person.
So, it's the new craze, you know, people don't wanna leave their dogs home all day by themselves. So, just like you take your child to daycare, on your way to work, you take their dog, their fur baby, the
So
same
then
way.
they're not crated at home?
They're not created at home, yes, and they get their playtime, they do all that, and then they take them up in the evening. They get treats, they get crowns, they get all kinds of report cards. I don't do that.
I was gonna say, this sounds like
I
experience.
don't do it, I've never done it.
Okay, other questions? Board members? Land use, yes.
Thank you. Couple questions, like where the play area is at, I mean, you're gonna have some runoff from like urine and feces and stuff like that. Does that just go in the ground or do you collect that?
So we'll have, floor drains in there, but we primarily mop them, and then like once a day, we do a hard clean out and spray the kennels down and sanitize them and all that good stuff. But the play area will not have drains, so like if they have an accident, like we'll have a mop bucket and sanitizer on hand to clean it up.
So when you're just spraying it off, is it just going off in the grass beside the property? or-
You mean outside?
Well, anywhere, I'm just wondering, is it being collected somewhere, is it going to septic, or is it, I mean,
So,
innately will.
I mean, most of it's gonna be, cleaned up with a mop bucket. There will be outside urine though, I mean, the urine's just gonna seep into the ground, it'll probably be like rock back there, and not grass, just for the sake of mud.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow up, the outdoor kennels,
The outdoor kennels are only designed for us letting the dogs in and out. There will not be dogs outside all the time.
right, but is the base of that rock or concrete?
So it's rock.
Okay,
Yep.
and so if they pee there, is
It's
it?
a natural drink, yeah.
Right.
It's just like a dog using the restroom in their own yard.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's get back to this play area. What is the flooring in the play area?
It's just gonna be concrete.
Okay. And so, do you have any other questions to follow up?
The feces, do you get that disposed of, or does it get dumped on the property?
Oh, it won't get dumped on the property, it'll be properly disposed of, which I'm still working through all of that, but, so far from what I have found out, you can, as long as you tie it up and it's double bagged, it can go in the garbage can. But I'm still working through that. It'll be done properly though, cause I have to follow the health department, rules and, the state license.
I would assume, and that's what he said, have Jackie check and see what the state license requirements are.
Sure.
So,
And lastly, will there be somebody there 24/7?
There will not be, there will be somebody there from probably 6 in the morning until about 9. And then we'll have cameras on the property, so if like something goes haywire. I also have an aunt and uncle that live on, Sheffield, so they're like a half a block away in case of emergency, and I have cousins that live in Northern Oaks that also are willing to help out.
All right, thank you.
yes.
I will admit, I've actually done a dog daycare quite a bit, so I'm very familiar with it.
I apologize, I was
No.
so stupid.
My dog loved it for several years and then decided he didn't. So it's a great thing. I do think, because I was going to ask that question, if that was going to be the purpose. I do think that maybe the road commissioner or whoever wasn't as aware of what's going on, but there would probably be a lot of traffic is my guess, as long as it's getting used. So I don't know if that should be something that would be re-looked at, not to delay anything for you, because I think it's a great thing, obviously, because I've used it, but I do think on the road aspect that there will be probably high traffic. My other question just was to your point, or my question, I guess, specific would be, you mentioned time then that people would be there.
Yep.
And I don't know how the other places that I've done it, that surprises me, I guess, so that you don't have someone through the night if you've got animals.
Most places don't. So unless you have, which that property is not zoned for me to have like living quarters in, so that's not even something that I could entertain. And it's gonna be hard pressed to find help that will work minimum wage for third shift. So I don't plan on doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
But to elaborate, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the high traffic, you have to keep in mind that like, even though we have 42 runs, it doesn't mean we're gonna have 42 people in and out every day. Usually the dogs are there for like 3 or 4 days. So there will be days when it's like 10, maybe 15 cars at the most. But we're never gonna have like 40 and 50 cars coming at the same time, so I just wanna make sure you're aware of that.
Yep.
Well, and don't sell yourself short. I know the lady who owns Camp Bow Wow, and she had to build another one in East Peoria, and she's pretty much maxed out now too. So my other question I remember was specific to the zoning and special use for you, maybe Jackie. At what point do we maybe look at where it's a rezone, since now it's kind of become where we've got multiple buildings, or is that never the case? Again, maybe this is a side question, but.
Yeah, so the planned unit development is structured to allow multiple uses on one parcel, so that then we're not splitting it up into several little parcels. Now, if he said, no, I wanna do another building, I wanna do this other use, then we might have to evaluate, but really, that tract is really gonna be maxed out.
I don't know, does anybody wanna look at the video again? If I recollect that, do we know, that's probably a commercial turn in there off of, Edgewater, isn't it?
It's got a concrete approach going in.
Yeah.
And IDOT just put a new culvert in, and they're supposed to patch the concrete and everything. But I plan to have a paved, like, small paved parking lot in front of the new building for the cars to park.
Okay, let's see if we can bring, that front view up. Yeah, stop right there. Okay, and so that's the entrance off of Edgewater.
Yes, so the new building will be on the left
Right.
side.
And so are your people gonna drive through those gates?
Well, the only
Or are you
people-
gonna have them park out here and then bring their dog in the
So
building?
the parking lot will be like this area
Yep.
here in the front, and then the only people going in the back are the tenant that's back
And the
there.
employees?
Yeah, employees to park.
Okay, so like you said, that fence will be cut,
This fence will be pretty much taken
and
out.
the front of the
This-
building will be placed in that fence, and
Correct.
then your customers will enter through that.
Yeah, and the way that the property is laid out, I'm gonna have to take, that section of fence out to the blacktop.
Okay.
Just so I have more room in between the two buildings.
Okay,
And I'll put some kind of a gate system in there,
yeah.
so it can all be shut off.
And so off to the left there, how many parking spots do you estimate?
I think I have like 6 to 8 on the plan.
Okay. Yeah, it just says you paid parking 48 by 49. Okay, board members, questions, other questions? Yes, land use?
What, I didn't care much about the fire prevention until you told me there was nobody there at night. So, now I care. What kind of, remedies do you take for
Well, I'm pretty.
making sure there's no kind of fire when nobody's there to catch it and put it out.
Well, there's security systems that, they have now that link right to the fire department, so we could look into that.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
so
plan on
as soon
doing
as-
that for sure?
Yeah, as soon as the smoke detector goes off, it basically sends an alert to me and the fire department. So,
Okay.
and that's something that we could definitely do,
Okay, well, I hope you do.
yeah.
And then the other question I have is, what's the legal limit maximum, that you can keep a dog?
Like, as far as a kennel, as far as boarding them,
Yeah,
well, I worked at a kennel in Peoria when I was 15 on a worker's permit, and we had some of the Hurricane Katrina dogs, and I mean, she had some of those for like months and months. But I'll have to look into the rules and regulations.
yeah, I want you to look, cause you know, you can't just rely on the owner to be mature, responsible, or anything. And, you know, I mean, if there are people in this world that if you didn't tell them there was a maximum, they'd leave them in there till hell froze over.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think most people, like 2 weeks max on a dog.
Well, that sounds more reasonable to me, but, I mean, I certainly would, you know, that is a living thing, that dog.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're gonna be designed to be very hands-on. I boarded my dogs at a couple places, and, I just wanna create like a very nice environment to where people actually feel comfortable. Cause I have a lot of family members and friends that
Yeah.
will not board their dog. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of the whole goal behind this. And that's why I've waited so long to do this, just because it's a huge expense to make it this nice.
well, one of the things I like is the fact that where you are in Tazewell County is usually a place that doesn't put up with, you know, abusive kind of environments at all. It's very prim and proper. So I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
you were on that wavelength.
for sure.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, other questions? And so these previous commercial uses, are they just, as kind of follow up on his questions, they still apply to the property? Even though he's gonna add this new one of a dog kennel?
So he's bringing the property into compliance for multiple commercial uses on a single lot.
Because he's storing equipment and.
Correct.
I see.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I thought maybe there was something that it, you know, the feed store, when it was in business, had a special use or something like that.
I think it was done commercial back then.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because he has several different things. He did, what did you say, you had an insurance agent or something?
Well, I had a real estate agent in the
A
front.
real estate agent and.
Contractor.
So he's got that and a contractor, and then he stores his own personal business equipment there. Okay, that makes sense there. Multiple commercial uses. Okay. Well, that guy said he would like to pay more money, so should he pay 5 times because he has 5 different, no. Okay, questions? Closing comments.
Just to reiterate, I mean, we're planning to follow all the regulations and rules with all departments, and, we just want like a safe, clean, and we wanna be well respected in the community, so, we will do our best to follow all the rules.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next case is 2524S and 2525V. Troy and Ann Stuber, requesting a special use to allow the operation of a home commercial business, Living Water Well Services Incorporated, from an existing and a new accessory structure, and a variance to allow the construction of an accessory structure for this commercial use and personal use to be 15 feet from the rear property line, which is 10 feet closer than what's allowed in an A1 ag district. This is a Class B case, so zoning board has final authority. Troy?
My name is Troy D. Stuber, 11302 Locust Road, Fremont.
And you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Absolutely, yes.
And, health department indicated a septic permit may be required. Soil and Water and Farm Bureau had no comments. Tazewell County Highway Department and Emergency Management had no comment. And Todd Childress, Tremont Township Road Commissioner, had no comments. And so we have some findings of facts on the special use.
Thank you, Chairman. So for this proposed use, their applicant is proposing to have a new accessory structure in the southeastern corner of the property and remove 3 existing accessory structures. With the variance, if you so choose to approve that, there would be no issues with regards to dimensional standards in the zoning district. Staff did not find any comprehensive plan goals or objectives that the proposal was in conflict with. As the special uses for primarily storing the materials, staff does not have any concern with loud noises, smells, or anything that would be out of character with the surrounding area. Since the residence in this property is pretty far away from other residences and surrounded by farmland, staff doesn't have a concern that this would be out of character with the general area. So with that, staff just recommends approval of the special use application.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, or, excuse me, Melissa.
This is case
At one time, Jackie was definitely
in conjunction with 2525B, petitions by Troy and Stuber for a special use as well as a variance. From Exhibit A, this direction is east, directly in front of us, the existing dwelling, an existing outbuilding. In the distance at the southeast corner of the property is the proposed building for the home commercial business. This is the completed gravel stockpile. This direction is south down Locust Road. This direction is west. North down Locust Road. And back to the place of beginning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Stuber, why don't you explain this request?
Well, Mr. Duane and the board, my plan is to put up a new building, 80 by 60, to store equipment. And the way the farm drains for the last 100 years, if I build it with the current setbacks that are in place, it'll be right too close to where everything drains, and I'll have to build it all up and drive right through a swamp. And so if I can just move her back 10 foot, which shouldn't be a problem, it'll be perfect. I had the ground kind of surveyed to see what just to confirm what the elevation is, and it agrees with what I'm saying. So I just want to move it east 10 foot instead of the 25 for the back of the building.
Okay, so it would be 15 feet on both sides, the back property line and the side property line.
That is correct.
Okay, and then, well, I'm looking at Exhibit C. So you're indicating this is a wet spot. Looks like no crops are growing there.
Right. The whole Tremont drains right down through here. When it rains, it comes right through this area.
Okay, so if you look at Exhibit C and you see the 363.45, there's a bare spot there right above the 3, And so that's why you wanna move it to the back corner,
That is correct.
okay? And did I hear in the reading or something that you're gonna tear down an old building, or did I misunderstand that?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I don't plan to tear any more
Okay.
buildings down. I have torn some down in the past.
Okay.
They tore themselves down, so rotten.
Well, once they, okay. Okay, questions? Morton style building,
Yeah, post frame building, built by my friends, Wagon Bog Builders, of Tremont.
okay? And, health department indicated a septic permit may be required, so water and bathrooms in the building, or no, or?
I'm not sure why they said that. No, there's absolutely no plan for any water there. The shop I have currently already has a bathroom with its own septic.
Okay.
It's been like that for 30 years.
And so, I think the reason they probably did it, they see the word home commercial business. How many employees do you have?
2, myself and my son, who lives with me.
Okay, and so if there were 8 employees, then, the septic has to be sized for.
Yeah, once again,
Stuff like that.
the way the plan is to store equipment.
Yes.
And my wife's plants in the winter, and you know how it goes. Also, there'll be some lawn chairs and bikes in there. So, being as I drive there,
Trailers.
yeah, oh yeah. If nature calls, I think I can make her up to the house where I live, or my shop that has its own bathroom. And there's 2 of us who both live there.
Okay, other questions, board members? Land use? Okay, typically on a request like this, you're pretty close to the property line. We do ask that you put gutters and route the downspouts, so you don't add additional water where it's not supposed to be. Does that make sense?
That's reasonable, and that's in the bid.
Okay.
That's the way I want it.
Yep.
I get in big trouble from my wife if I didn't do it.
Okay, so the second case is the variance for 15 feet from each property line. Does anybody have any questions on the variance? Yes.
I take it you've had discussions with the farmer, there's no issue with machinery going around the building, he's comfortable with that?
No,
I don't know who farms that.
Greg Sauer farms it. It's a very complicated triangle, but anyway, he's the one that farms it, known personally. Actually, when I bought the property, I had to have it surveyed because for the last 30 years, they've been cutting the corners.
Cutting the corner, yeah.
I think they can avoid it.
I can't imagine a farmer cutting the corner.
Any more of these tractors drive themselves, so if it goes haywire, it's a satellite. So,
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on the variance? Yeah.
Well, I just wanna know, how much does it exceed for the variance?
10 foot. It's supposed to be 25 and he's
Got it.
requesting 15.
Thank you.
Correct?
Trying to cut down on my mowing.
Smart man.
It's an expensive way to do it.
Gotta pay to play. I'm trying to get you guys some more tax money, so I'll put up in the building.
Okay, other questions? Okay, closing comments on either case, the special use or the variance.
Looking forward to the new building. Thanks for taking your time to hear me out. And appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. There's Hughes. Okay, our next case is 25-28A. This is an amendment from Tazewell County, and it's a proposed new amendment number 73 to the county code. And so this is updating, I'll let Jackie explain it here in a minute, it's updating some wording on chicken coops. Is this in rural residential or?
So this will be in residential, districts. We basically took the standards out of the special use request, put those into, residential districts. So all the same requirements apply as if you were to receive a special use, but without the special use. So it would then be a permitted use in residential districts. 1/4 acre to 2 acres would allow up to the 6 chickens. 2 acres, 2.01 acres to 9.99, not to exceed the animal density units that we have outlined for the Department of Agriculture in the chart that we have in the zoning code. After you get over 10 acres, any sort of agricultural use, even if you're a residential district, is allowed. So, that's where we're at.
Okay, so the understanding would be with this new amendment, rather than them having to come in here, if they met all the requirements, you could issue a permit,
Correct.
okay? The health department has indicated, chicken coops may not be placed over septic components, and so is that in the wording, or it will be in your permitting process?
Correct, it's in the permitting process, so they will be required to get a permit for the structure, the coop itself. And then we require a site plan, which they have to indicate for any structure where the septic system is located. And then we'll check that they meet all the setbacks and requirements, for the code.
Okay, questions on the amendment?
Still no roosters, correct?
Right.
Correct. Years.
Other questions? Yes.
Thank you. Forgive my ignorance. Does municipal code trump this if somebody lives in a community and can they outlaw this, or does this, if you have the acreage, you can have chickens?
We do not have jurisdiction within municipalities, so they have their own codes.
This is only within county boundaries. Okay, other questions? Okay, so this is an amendment, so it will be reviewed at land use, and only, we will make a recommendation, only county board can, make new code, amendments. Okay, I have mine backwards, so this is 28. Okay. And so is 28 chickens or buildings? Recreational?
26 is chickens.
Okay, so I read 25, 28, but what we discussed was 25, 26. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So no further discussion on 26. Okay. So you got 27 now? Yeah, amendment 72 is 27. Yep, that's right. Okay, so 25, 27A is approved. Proposed amendment 72. It says chicken coops may not be placed over septic.
I think they got mixed up.
Okay, so that does not apply to that. Okay, so what is 27?
27 is the amendment regarding the administrative variance, which staff would like to pull at this time.
Has nothing to do with chickens.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, it's just the one, the back of the front page.
We would like to pull it at this, withdraw that amendment.
Okay. And then it'll be reprocessed at some other time. Okay, so 2527A is withdrawn. We will not take action on that tonight.
Is that because of the switcheroo, or is that something else?
That one has to do with the administrative variance that we talked about at land use. where it's not happy with the
Okay,
wording.
so,
They still wanna redo some wording.
got it.
Okay, so now we need 28. Here's 27. Although that's my 27. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, 2528A, Caswell County is proposed amendment 73. And it's updating some definitions and personal uses for storage and recreational buildings, both in an ag district. Well, all of them apply to an ag district. So why don't you, what's the intent behind this?
So when we added the recreational buildings as both permitted and, special use, we didn't take out personal storage buildings, so there was somewhat of a conflict between the sizes in the two. So this is just cleaning up the language, whether it's a storage building or recreational building, and then we outline for either or the, square feet that you can have. So again, we had conflicting information, so this was truly just cleaning up the language for the building sizes, whether it's permitted or special use.
Yeah, I see that. So a recreational building is 1,200 feet, but a storage building can be 2,500 square feet. And it breaks that down and specifies that.
Well, no, it combines them together, because before you could have an accessory structure, but only up to 250 square feet, as a permitted use. But then we were allowing, recreational buildings go up to 1,200 square feet. So a person could say, well, I'll just make a recreational building, but I'm really just using it for storage to go up to 1,200. It was just language that just truly needed
Yes.
cleaned up. We added the recreational buildings, but didn't amend or address or remove the storage buildings.
Surely people wouldn't do that. I want a bigger building, so I'm gonna call it a recreational building. I'm just gonna store it. So. Okay, questions? Like Jackie explained, it's mostly language cleanup. And again, this is an amendment, so only the county board can approve it. So we will make a recommendation. Any questions? Okay, that concludes the public portion of tonight's meeting. And what do you guys want? Do you wanna take a short break, or do you wanna, as soon as Jackie gets her paperwork together, start deliberating? Okay, she's gonna get her paperwork together and we'll start deliberations here in just a minute.
Go for it, Dwayne.
Okay, board members, 2520S, Elmer Tom Moore requesting a special use to allow the construction of an accessory structure prior to the principal dwelling, up to 1,200 utilized for personal storage in an R1 low-density residential district. Is there a motion to get this on the floor? Bowling? And Miller seconds. Okay, this is, he owns the lot, about 3 houses away, and he's gonna put a carport on it so he can put his camper. Okay, we talked about conditions that if he sold the lot or he sold the camper, then the carport goes. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And, Sam, you seconded, and he indicated that if the new owner wanted the carport, he would sell it to him, but the special use would still be in effect.
Okay, so either remove, or if the new, or the proposed purchaser wants it, just that he has to disclose the conditions of the special use and requirements under the
Yes.
special use, yeah.
Okay?
Can I move further?
Yes, go ahead.
So under the zoning code or the special use for accessory structure prior to principal, which is what we're looking at, item number 4 requires that a dwelling be, constructed within 3 years. So we know his intent is not to build on the property, it's strictly this, so you would also need to waive that requirement.
Okay?
I'm okay with that, because there's no way he's gonna build it.
No.
Right,
Right.
you're okay with that? Okay, the person who made the motion and the second agree with that?
And he's got to meet all the property line setbacks.
Yes.
That goes without saying.
Yes.
Better than a dead lot sitting down there full of weeds and junk and.
Okay, other discussion? Okay, we had positive findings of facts from the, Tri-County planner. What's your thoughts?
Move to approve.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the findings of facts.
I'll second.
McClanahan seconds. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the findings of facts, say aye. All opposed? The findings of facts are approved. Any further discussion, and everybody understands the conditions? Okay, we'll call the question.
Vaughn?
Aye.
Fair?
Yes.
Lapsley?
Yes.
McClanahan?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Chairman Leslie?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And we probably should have put a condition, wasn't he the one that asked for his money back?
It'll be fine.
Sorry, Bob.
You gotta ask.
We already cashed the check. Okay, 2521S, Chris and Mallory Beegler, special use to allow the construction of a personal recreational building up to 2,500 square feet in an A1 district. Is there a motion to get this on the floor?
So moved.
McClanahan moved,
Second.
Miller seconds. Okay, this is the one, he's got the long, narrow, parcel, on Kentuckiana Road, if I remember right. Wooded area, and he cleared off in, the middle part there. And he indicated, so is this one, he indicated he was not gonna build a house anytime soon, so does that apply to this as well?
It does not, because this is, special use for a recreational building.
Okay. And he was okay on his setbacks. So. Okay, we've got findings of facts from Tri-County Planning that were positive. What's your thoughts?
Move to approve.
Okay, McClanahan moves to approve the findings of facts. Lapsley seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the findings say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The findings of facts are approved. And yeah, this part here about the health department, that doesn't, he said the only thing he will have is electricity. Okay,
Yes.
so, okay, we've got a motion to approve the findings of facts. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, McClanahan And at some point later, if he does he didn't even have a well, so. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll call the question.
Fair? Yes. Lapsley?
Yes.
McClanahan?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Baum?
Yes.
Chairman Leslie?
Yes.
Motion approved.
She was so nervous.
Okay, next case is 25-22S, Savannah Gottschall, requesting a special use for operation of Sunflower Stables, Farmhouse LLC, and a public stable to include boarding as well as offering riding lessons from the accessory structures in an A1 ag district. Is there a motion to get this on the floor?
Move to approve, or.
Flanagan
Move to approve.
moves
Let's
to
go.
get it on the floor. Is there a second? Baum seconds. Okay, we had talked about, and she had indicated, 8 horse maximum. Cause that's what the stalls she had.
Right, but she's got 6, so really
Right.
she only has 2.
And so the 8 horse maximum would be a total of personal and boarded horses.
Right.
Okay, so who made the motion? McClanahan, you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that,
And
and we
you
asked for
second
that
it?
too,
Okay.
because you hated to lock her into that, but she said she would be.
Yeah, if she wants to go bigger, she needs, like
Which I
she
can
said,
see.
move a different place.
But, I mean, it's not like she has 10, 12 acres,
Right.
Yeah. It's a big business, I wish I would have known about her, I just had 3 people move into the area that needed their horses boarded. And they went to, Peoria, because I found people in Peoria, so I wish I would have known that.
I was just gonna touch on the animal units per acre, I said the chart that we have in the zoning code, it's truly in reference to, livestock feeding operations. So then as I dug a little bit deeper, looking at how many true animal horses or animal units per acre you could have for something such as this, there were a lot of variations, and I'm glad she touched on the fact that not that the horses are seniors, but that they are fed, because when we look at that, we look at how much ground it's gonna take to feed however many animals. However, if you are feeding them grain and hay, they don't graze as much, so you aren't required to have as many acres. Just wanted to throw that out there.
And I don't know much about horses, so as they get older, they can't graze, or they're not efficient, or?
It's just like with humans, I mean,
It's
teeth and stuff like that, they're not able
I
to.
just don't as much.
Yeah.
I think they get dental issues too.
Yeah, we've done all that.
Okay.
So just like,
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't gum that steak instead of chew it. Okay, let me look this here a minute.
We call this ZBA humor.
That's what happens in deliberation.
That's why I always kind of look around, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
here.
And she also indicated the riding lessons would be one at a time, so that traffic is not, an issue, so. Okay, we've got, findings of fact from Tri-County Planner. And then, yeah, this is, it's zoned A1 already. And the adjoining landowner was here and he indicated, I do not object, right?
Tell horses start reaching over the fence, if he's not like.
Where they get off and trample his corner. Okay, what's your thoughts on the, findings of fact?
I do too, approve.
Was that Amy?
No, that's all right. Somebody else did it, I kind of already did it.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm gonna take Valerie, because she doesn't get paid unless she gets in the minutes. Okay, any discussion on the findings? All those in favor of the findings say aye. All opposed? Okay, the findings are approved, and then, this would be with the condition of 8 maximum personal and boarded horses. Okay, we'll call the question.
Lapsley,
Yes.
McClanahan,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Fair,
Yes.
Chairman Nelson.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Oop, they moved it down.
So, you know, also I do love these,
Yeah, that's a nice summary.
this is really nice.
Yes. Case number 2523S, Alexander Smith requesting a special use to allow the operation of a non-residential planned unit development, allowing construction of a new principal structure proposed for a commercial boarding kennel with other animal services offered, and also utilizing 2 existing commercial structures on the property to be rented for various permitted commercial uses, and an area designated for outdoor storage in a C2 general business district. Is there a motion to get this on the floor?
So moved.
McClanahan moves,
Second.
and Miller seconds. Okay, so he's gonna keep the businesses that are already there, his lawn business, and he stores that in the shed. And then he rented, the front part to the contractor, and he stored his tools and equipment in that. And then the other building,
It's not occupied anymore. It's just
right,
it's
he
finished.
said the insurance agent left, but he'd been looking at a dog groomer to come,
Trainer.
dog trainer to come in to that building. But then he wanted to build also a new building for the, kennels.
Big business.
Yes, go ahead.
So there are a few questions asked by land use members, and then unfortunately they left. But with regards to some of the items, Russ is still here. So with the life safety, so there's an Animal Welfare Act that describes what kind of fire suppression systems and alarms that they have to or have and they can pick or choose which one they put in, right? Like either wet system or they have this alarm system. That is something also that our life safety plan review will take into consideration when doing the plan review and then also inspect for that. I know feces came up and that can be disposed of, and he'll find out a lot of this when he goes to get licensed. But
From
then,
the state.
correct.
Yes.
So then the IDPH or the Illinois Plumbing Code also has some regulations on how those are set up to collect urine and things like that. So there's a lot of other kind of variables, in addition to parking. That's something that we'll evaluate when we know how many employees, how many customers potentially they can have. So he'll find out more at the state level, as he moves forward, and it would benefit him to have his actual plan layout for them to ensure that he's doing all that correctly for his licensing, but then a lot of checks and balances on the permitting end as well.
Okay? Questions, thoughts, comments?
Here's one of my thoughts on this. You know, he indicated that he was gonna put rock down in the outside kennels. Well, that's good up to a point. If you ever had a dog in a kennel, I don't care how well you clean, sooner or later you're gonna have fly issues because you're just not gonna get all the waste material out. All the commercial kennels that I ever ordered my retriever in had concrete, so they could pressure wash that once a day, sometimes twice a day. So they keep them clean, and there's no flies and that type of stuff. And I suspect the state's gonna require that. I don't know that for sure, but if they don't, I think we should, because it's gonna become a mess. 2 or
I
3
agree,
years
I
down
didn't
the road.
understand that either when he was saying that too, like, cause at first I thought he was gonna have the runs. Well, when you talk runs normally are concrete runs, they
Yes.
usually have drains in them and everything else, cause they hose those out. And then when you start talking about rock, gravel, I'm like, rock, gravel? I mean, I guess as an owner, I do not want my dogs out pottying on rock and gravel, that, you know, I mean, so I guess I'm a little confused on that too, like, is that what he meant, or is that,
You know, or was he?
or was that, 'cause I mean, I guess, I mean,
I
you know,
think there was
I
some
guess-
miscommunication about what spaces he was talking about and how disposal was gonna go. I would envision that the outside play area would be a grassy area. The indoor play area as well as the indoor kennels
it's gonna be concrete.
is all gonna be concrete in
Right.
order to
Yeah.
clean
It will be,
it.
and it will be a sealed concrete, I mean, anybody, I mean, you're not gonna leave that, you know, porous to you.
Yeah, I assumed, I think what you assumed, that you have the kennel and then they can open this little door or flip a switch and the door opens and the dog can go outside and that would be a rock something. But my understanding of dogs is, they all mark their territory. And so if it's rock, every dog that goes out there is gonna try and pee over the previous one just to mark their territory.
Right.
And so whether we put it as a condition or I'm like you, let's put it as a condition in case the state doesn't have that as a condition.
Yeah, and if I might, I don't usually talk during this time, but I talked to the mom and the son outside after the meeting, public part was over. And, that I think they know, they think they said what they said, even if they didn't say it. And so I think they wanna be as proud as Morden typically wants them to be about the way they do their business. So I think if you put that in there, they would just roll right along with it.
Yeah.
And
Cause I think they would find that out anyway, I mean, if
like
you're
I
coming
said,
in, I mean, you're paying big money for your dogs, and the
Right.
last thing I ever want is
and
them out on gravel.
not that dogs get loose, but they've made a lot of movies about dogs getting loose and my kids have watched them all. But the two fences, you know, with the fence surrounding the total property, I think is an advantage, so.
It is a very big business, but
Evidently,
I don't ever board, I pay big money for
terms
people
of
to come into my
sight.
house.
He's not a real estate agent, by the way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Does that say indoor run, outdoor run?
They're
Well,
looking
they
at
could
it.
put I would say if that's what you want, we put a condition on it, and I just wanna clarify that we're referring to the outdoor kennel space to the south of the new building.
Right,
Yes.
on exhibit A, it's called the outdoor kennel. We had understood it as discussion that it would be rock. We would require it be concrete. Or of, they probably have some fancy plastic, stuff now that can also be washed and disinfected.
So are you talking, you say the outdoor, the
Yeah,
outdoor
look at-
kennel space, which is the runs, is that considered the runs right outside?
Well,
The individual
that's what we
runs.
assume. It's labeled outdoor kennel
Right,
on here, but we assume that's what I would call a run.
and each one has their own little.
I don't think they're individual outdoor runs, I think it's a space where, even if the dogs aren't in a suite, they're in a regular kennel indoors,
Right.
the attendant is physically going to walk them out on a leash and let them play in this area for 15 minutes.
So it's an outdoor exercise area.
Yeah.
Right.
But I agree, I think that still needs to be concrete.
So the outdoor kennel
Or grass.
would
The
be
grass.
sealed concrete.
Yeah, either seal, well, it depends on what it's
I
gonna
don't think he
be.
wanted grass, cause it would be muddy. If he
Yeah.
wanted on that.
He did say
You know,
that.
with grass.
he did, he
I
wouldn't
do
want grass,
know,
because
I
I'm
do
like, well,
know
after
Peoria
turf.
County Animal Control, they have an outdoor area for dogs to run on, and it's a pea gravel type surface that they go into. For that, to keep,
Yeah, I think
And then they just take
Caswell
it,
County's is grass.
and they just pick it up out, any feces up out of the gravel. But they do that for the mud and,
Well, yeah,
and,
except you don't
and the
want grass
soggy,
because
yeah, the
they'll-
soggy ground from all the urine or what have you, but yeah, it's all,
Some dogs
it's
can
like a
be
pea
faster
gravel
than
surface.
Get them back in the kennel.
So the outdoor kennel, what if the condition were that it's a sealed concrete or impervious surface that can be properly sanitized?
That's what I'd like to see.
Okay, so who made the motion?
Me,
Okay,
I agree with that.
and Sam second.
Sam second, okay.
I mean, there's other there's options too, they can do, there's an astroturf that they do.
That's what I was gonna say, there's
I mean, down
astroturf, you
in
can
Florida,
power
there's
wash
dog
that
parks
all day
everywhere,
long.
and it's all, and those are indoors, and it's astroturf, it's nothing but astroturf, and it literally, it has it's almost like a space, and then it all goes down, and then there's huge, they pull them up, and then the floors all get cleaned.
Flush 'em.
And flush them, and whatever, so there's other options. I agree, I kinda think the rock, I don't know, I guess I've never seen it at another.
Especially that
Dog
system where it's
park, so-
raised and all.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Dog
assume that the
soft
number of
stool.
kennels and suites are gonna be limited by the size of the building.
You're picking up,
Correct.
And the state,
The state will have requirements for that.
okay,
And so he'll have to get the state license, like I said, it would benefit him to go with his plan and let the state say, yes, this works,
This
no, it
works,
doesn't, these
okay.
aren't the proper stuff. And it sounds like he's kind of started down that path, but wanted to know if this is a viable option for him.
yes. You have to cross this bridge before you hit the next one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've got the, findings of facts from Tri-County. If I remember right, they were all positive. Okay, you had the question, what is the closest house? Because there's the business right on the corner, and then there's Casey's. Is there any houses back there? Oh yes, behind Casey's is those,
Yeah.
that cul-de-sac, or that road curves.
You can see them right there.
Yeah.
No, it's a big backyard, but it's still,
It's still a backyard.
it's still a backyard.
Still here, dog park.
Okay, but he had indicated times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's between 200 and 300 feet away from where the proposed dog kennel will be at, and the applicant mentioned that last let out for the dogs would be at 8 p.m.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to make that condition.
All right.
Something else to consider, on the application, stated hours of operation 8 to 6, Monday through Friday. He had mentioned in his testimony that, employees would be there at 6:30 to allow dog drop off.
And then are they leaving at 8? Did he say? Like I said, 6:30 to 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30 to 6:30. you're correct.
6:30, okay.
And so do we need to adjust that based on his testimony?
I would, just so it's clear, so we don't have a conflict between the application and the
Right.
testimony.
Okay, so the application says 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday 8 to 12, and that's what he said in his testimony. And then Sundays would be 5 to 7 in the evening. And so, do you agree with the 6:30 to 6:30? 6:30 a.m. is,
I agree with that. Now, cause this is so new, what if he finds out that, wait a second, I got a lot of people, that wanna, drop off at 6 a.m., so he wants to move to 6 a.m., or he finds out that,
yeah. I'm not concerned
so-
between 6 and 6:30.
okay, well, that's what I'm just saying, I'd hate to lock him into that.
I think that's what he was
It's
saying.
all so new, I think he's trying to figure out what is gonna be the best avenue,
Yeah.
but I think 6:30 to 6:30 is a fair
I mean,
Yeah.
historically, the zoning board's conditioned hours related to outdoor venues and things like that would generate a lot of noise.
Right.
I think he said, you know, the employees would leave the site at 8 or 9 o'clock, therefore all the animals are gonna be in, I think.
Right.
I think trying to limit what time he can accept, we don't limit daycares, you know, what time they can open versus what time they could leave, I would.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
vet,
Well, but
or
it's
vet's
typically,
offices, things
in
like
the
that.
application, so especially if we have a complaint about it and dogs are being dropped off and there is an issue in the morning at drop off, I would rather have, they're not calling and saying, hey, it's 6:30 in the morning, I'm gonna FOIA this request, and the request says hours of operation are 8 AM.
Right.
And now it's an hour and a half earlier, so I would prefer that we make it clear
Okay.
what the hours are.
And
Like
that,
Wayne said.
in his testimony, didn't he say 6:30 to 6:30?
Yeah, he said 6:30 to
Okay.
6:30.
So you agree with that, and you seconded it? Okay, for the work week, yeah.
And this is just hours of operation when clients are going to be there.
Right.
Because obviously they're gonna have workers there probably before and after those times, but this
Yeah.
is
And-
hours of normal operation.
Right.
Okay. And the others were okay, Saturday was 8 to 12 and Sunday was 5 to 7, so. Okay? Did we do anything with the findings of facts yet?
Should we include that as well?
Oop, there's still some more discussion.
Yeah, so Matt had brought up that the application itself doesn't refer to the last, let out period being at 8 PM, so maybe,
Put that in.
again, if there's issues and all of a sudden we've got barking dogs at 10 o'clock at night, that's violation of his special
Permit.
use,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so, yeah,
So between 8 and 8, I think, right? Then the first let out will be around 8 o'clock, and then
Yeah.
the next would be around 8 PM.
Yep. No let out before 8 or after 8, 8 AM or after 8 PM. You okay with that?
Good with that.
Okay. Anything else? We'll know when a dog gets out or something.
We'll know when there's a complaint.
Right.
Okay, findings of fact.
Move to approve.
Okay, Bong moves to approve, is there a second?
I'll second it.
McClanahan seconds, discussion. Yeah, he did put that in the findings of fact. Dogs will be allowed outside for 15 minutes at a time throughout the day, and the last let out will be at 8 PM. So, once we approve the findings of fact, the 8 PM, but then we also put 8 AM in there, so. Okay, all in favor of the findings, say aye.
Okay.
All opposed? Thank you. Findings are approved. Any further discussion on the, petition? We will call the question with the conditions as we discussed them.
Miller,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Lapsley,
Yes.
McClanahan,
Yes.
Chairman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I know my son takes his dog to a groomer, and I don't ask what that haircut costs.
I bet you could get 3 or 4 for the price of that.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
My golden retriever is $150.
Is how much?
$150.
Whoa.
And what kind of dog?
I would get one of those.
So he's got an Augie, it's half Australian Shepherd and
Oh,
half
yeah.
Corgi, and it looks like the Corgi size.
Oh, it's like a corgi size.
Yes,
Oh,
and-
yeah.
So, and when I board it, I need to up my fee, I guess. After-
We offer that.
But when I board it,
I know.
my wife
He's
says,
100 pounds.
it plugged up the vacuum cleaner again.
Uh-huh.
And it's the blowout.
Okay, we do the special use first?
Yes.
Okay, 2524S, Troy and Ann Stuber, special use to allow the operation of a home commercial business, Living Water Well Services Incorporated, from an existing and newly to be constructed accessory structure. And then we'll do the variance after that. Is there a motion to get the special use on the floor?
So moved.
Ball moves, Valerie seconds. Okay, yeah, he runs this, I assume he drills wells, water wells?
He drills, repairs the whole system.
Okay,
Wells?
Yeah.
Really? Did not know that.
and so in association with this, we're gonna do the variance next. The new building will, be 15 feet from the property line, in which it's supposed to be 25. So the special use would be subject to the variance also being approved. So, findings of fact on the special use, we're all positive. What's your thoughts? Ball moves to approve the findings of fact.
Not everybody all at the same time.
I'll second.
Lapsley seconds. Any discussion on the findings? All those in favor of the findings for the special use say aye. All opposed? Okay, so the findings are approved. You'll vote on the special use and it will be subject to the variance approval, which we'll do next. We'll call the question.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Coopey. I'm sorry.
Fair. Yes.
So you're all right, Lapsley,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chairman Lessing.
Yes.
No, but I knew I hadn't crossed enough people off, but I crossed them off, and then I was like, sorry.
Okay, is there a motion to get 2525B, the variance on the floor? Valerie Fair moves, and I thought I saw Lashley seconds. Okay, he indicated he wanted that building in the back corner, so he can stay out of that pond, that wet hole. You can see it right on the map. There's not even any crops growing there because that's where water comes
On
from.
that, there's 500 acres. that
They all drain that way.
drains down that way, comes right to the southwest corner of that field, which is 50 yards from the edge of his property. And goes into the road there, goes into the road ditch again.
A lot of water.
A lot of water at times here.
Okay. And he indicated that they had actually surveyed because he felt that the farmer was rounding his corners off. And you can see how he rounded right there. in
It's
the-
a typical farmer, another row of corn.
Hey, you didn't round that, God round.
Well,
Okay, so the main thing is that it's, stays out of that, it's not a floodplain but water. And he indicated he would also, do gutters that would, not contribute to any more, wrong water in the wrong direction. Okay, anybody else wanna add any findings of facts to Jackie's paper here? Is there a motion to approve the findings as discussed? Okay, McClanahan moves. Second, Baum seconds. Any further discussion on the variance findings? All in favor say aye. The findings are approved and we will call the question on the variance.
Fair,
Yes.
Lapsley,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Vaughn,
yes.
Chairman Lessing.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, 2526A is, proposed amendment 71. Is there a motion to get this on the floor? Lapsley moves,
I'll second it.
McClanahan seconds. This is the, chicken one that kinda cleans up the language. And also, in an R1 and R2 district. And it's got the chart in there that tells the acres and not to exceed X number of animals based on that information. And so, does anybody have any questions or updates, or do you understand that we're trying to clean up some language?
Under paragraph B, where it talks about fence enclosure, item number 3 talks about lateral distances to any well in clay or loam soil shall be maintained. For other soils, the county health department may be called on, or should that, must be called to determine?
So we have soils, this is something that was in there, I'm not sure why Crystal had previously put it in there, but we can look at what the soils are for the area that they're determining, or that they're proposing that it be placed, and we would know that. The health department's not gonna have a record of the soils unless someone has done a boring in it.
As long as somebody's got some control over that, you know, I got sand, so can I put it 50 feet away from my well, or I have to put it 150 feet away from my well?
Yeah, and again, we'll look to them to indicate that on their site plan, and we can verify, this with the health department to make sure that this is still consistent. Again, I'm sure Crystal looked into that when she developed the first code into the special use.
Okay, any other questions? Yep.
So your intent with that provision is that you guys will determine the appropriate distance, and then you'll ask the health department for help if you need it, is that right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way I took it.
I didn't take it that way,
Because
but don't cover it.
if the soil map and all indications are, you know, it's, sable, which is a very good soil, they can look at it and see what the distance needs to be. But should it ever be called in question, this gives them the authority to say, we gotta have somebody double check this. So, that's kind of the way I interpret it. Okay? Other questions, thoughts? Okay, do we do a roll call to recommend this to the
Yes.
county board? Okay? Okay, we will, do the roll call, and this is a recommendation that it be forwarded to the county board.
Fair,
Yes.
Lapsley,
Yes.
McClanahan,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Chairman Wilson.
Yes.
Recommend you approve.
Okay, 2527 is withdrawn. And so 2528, is there a motion to get this on the floor?
So moved.
McClanahan moves and Miller seconds. Okay, this is to clean up the language, between personal storage and recreational buildings, right?
Correct.
And so we had some discrepancies prior to this, and hopefully this will, make things a little more clear.
Will this reduce the number of cases that we have coming through here requesting special use permits?
For storage buildings,
Yeah.
yes. We may still need to look at these oversized buildings that we're getting kind of on a monthly basis, and we talked about that a little bit, how to determine that, because we have a lot coverage area, but we'd always base it on, for the residential districts, the footprint of the house, but now people are wanting bigger buildings for all their things at home, but maybe their home isn't necessarily that big. So we need to investigate that a little bit more. These would just be for sites that don't have homes.
Okay. And so I think it was last month, we had that guy that was putting up another building, and he indicated that 30-some% of his lot would be covered. Is there a?
That it wasn't to 30% yet, so,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
that's where there's two things that you can't, exceed the footprint of your house, but you also can't cover more than 30% of your tract of land. So he could have said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and apply for this, but then if he had two things fighting against him, one, he needed the variance to increase the size, but then he was also going to exceed the 30%, but he truly wasn't even close to that. It
Right.
takes a lot to get to 30% lot coverage.
You know, even though in the video and stuff, all the buildings that looked like they were crammed together, but then he had a wide open area, so.
Yeah, typically, if you've got a septic system, which most everyone that we
Yeah, you
have
have
come
to-
before us does, they have to have.
And avoid all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any further discussions or ideas on the 25-28 amendment? Okay, is there, we will call the question, and your vote is to recommend or not recommend this to the county.
Laxley?
Yes.
McClanahan?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Bayer?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Recommended approval.
Okay, I got an email last week, there's 2 solar cases next month, is there more than that?
There's 2 solars and 4 additional cases.
So 6 total. Okay. We are adjourned.
And that's July.